I'm just back from an European vacation. I did keep up with the Vikings somewhat, thanks to John for keeping the Viking Update show rolling without me. We are now reunited for the very interesting month of August. A lot can happen with this franchise right now. I'm going to start this week's show with this question, John. If you're a Viking fan trying to protect your heart, trying to protect your gut, are you wiser to say, hey, I'm all in on this team, a lot of good things can happen, this could be a great year? Or is it wiser to say, you know what, this year is really all about setting things up for next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, we've talked a lot about the scar tissue that Minnesota sports fans in general have for their teams and just bracing for the other shoe to drop always. And so I think there's already kind of a guarded nature with Minnesota sports fans, kind of going into many seasons. And I think that's probably the better approach for this Vikings season. I do like some of the moves that they've made defensively. You look at what they have got with bringing Justin Jefferson back in contract, getting his contract taken care of, Christian Darrisaw's contract taken care of, bringing in Aaron Jones. Those are all really kind of encouraging maneuvers, I would say. But until you really get a firm grasp on what you have at quarterback, on who is playing quarterback and where that position is over the long haul, I do think in this division, it's better to probably just be going in with lower expectations. And if you get surprised, great. If Sam Darnold comes in and is unexpectedly effective, if JJ McCarthy just wins the job in training camp and starts out week one and is maybe not CJ Stroud level, but certainly a rookie quarterback who can come in and make plays and be dynamic, I do think that potentially changes things for this group. But the quarterback spot right now still seems up in the air. And so I think that right now it feels like there's a little bit more of a ceiling on this team until proven otherwise. And in a division where Detroit's going to be good, where Green Bay is going to be good, where Chicago's improved, it could be a tougher year than you look at next year with the salary cap, so much salary cap room and everything going forward, and a full year for McCarthy to figure things out. I think you feel really good next year, but probably best right now to just go in and be like, all right, let's just see what happens, rather than kind of pinning your hopes and dreams on what this season is going to be for the Vikings.
Doesn't mean we're not going to be hard on them, John. We're still going to we're still going to have high expectations in terms of the way they perform. But I just think so many things set up for this team gradually building toward next year, even though, because it's the NFL, they're going to try to win this year. I just don't know that it's all set up for them perfectly. Let's get more into that here. This is the Viking Update Show. He's John Krawczynski from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. This is TalkNorth.com. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. Special welcome and thank you to Crazy Fresh. We'll talk more about it later, but I've had all their food. It's basically a great way to have fresh fruit, salad, vegetables, snacks, meals, guacamole, salsa. It's fantastic stuff. It's fresh. You don't have to go to the grocery store, buy 18 different ingredients and hope that they're all going to, stay good in your fridge for the next 5 days. They make it so easy. Check out Crazy Fresh. I'll tell you more about them later. Thanks also to True Vision Institute, Twill in the Edina Galleria, and TSR Injury Law. Before we get into more Vikings news, what did you make of the Jordan Love news that he signed that big a deal at this stage in his career?
Yeah, part of me is certainly surprised that he got all of that from the Packers, just on a fairly small sample size of success so far. That said, you look at the way that he seemed to just improve by leaps and bounds by the end of last season, the great performance he had against Dallas in the playoffs. There's a lot to look at there to believe that this is going to be sustainable and even be able to be improved upon over the next several years. He's still very young. He's got very young weapons around him for the most part that are still coming into their own. And it looks like Whereas, early on in his career, certainly early on last season, I was looking at it and I admittedly said, I don't know if this guy has it. It just doesn't look like he's ready for this. But by the end of the season, you saw all the throws that he could make. You saw, the mobility, the leadership, all of those things happen. And so right now it does look like, unfortunately for the Vikings, that the Packers have a franchise quarterback. Can he be top 2 or 3 or 4 in the league? I don't know yet. We'll see about that. But from a physical tools standpoint, it's very promising. And given the economics of the league, quarterbacks are just getting paid. Everyone knows that. And so the Packers really believe that he's their guy, that he's going to be their guy for, I think it's like 3 years and $100 and some million guaranteed on the contract so far. It's the going rate for quality young quarterbacks, and he has positioned himself as such right now.
Yeah, and one thing Jeff Diamond pointed out, we have 2 Vikings shows here at TalkNorth.com. We have this show and then Jeff Diamond's Vikings and NFL Insider with the former Vikings general manager. He pointed out that his $11 million salary this year got wrapped into this deal. It's not quite as lucrative as it appears at first glance, but it's still a big deal that locks them in long term. And it's almost like, if you analyze these on a dollar by dollar basis and you look at the salary cap, you can get really wound up. We've seen that with teams all across the league and with Vikings when they sign somebody to a long-term deal, you think, oh my God, this is death if things don't work out. The reality is every NFL team has big contracts that don't work out, and every NFL team reboots really quickly. So it's almost like, they're giving them a lot of money. Of course, there's risk there, but if Jordan Love didn't pan out, they could probably turn it around pretty quickly without him anyway, because it's just been proven that happens in the NFL.
Yeah, and so far, like, he has already had a little bit of success in the playoffs, so you already feel pretty good about that end of things. And I am consistently, I'm in the camp, Jim, where if you are going to make a mistake, make it at quarterback, because that means it's the game's most important position. You're going for it. You're trying to take big swings. You're trying to really solidify that position. And if you hit on it, that is going to take care of so many other weaknesses that you could possibly have, especially on your offense. And yes, you're devoting a lot of salary to it, but it is easier to find receivers now than it ever has been, with the way the college game is, with the way that position seems to be just chock full of talent year in and year out in the draft. You can find tight ends, you can find running backs and cycle through. It really seems like if you have a quarterback and you have a good offensive line, you're going to have a real chance to be very successful as an offense in this league. And the Packers believe they have that. And so if you have that inkling of it, and if he shows you signs, go for it with him. And yes, like, if it does not work out, if he gets injured, if he just flames out, if the money goes to his head, whatever things can happen, you're really looking at 3 years, and then you can kind of pivot out of it and get back to it. So that's the way that these contracts are structured now. But quarterback is just so important that take big gambles, take big swings, because if you hit there, the sky is the limit on what you can do as a team.
No doubt about it. All right, I want to get into cornerbacks, receivers, the 2022 draft, which is still haunting them, and of course the quarterback position here. I want to let you know we're coming to you through the Aquarius Home Services studios, and we do want to thank Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Making your life better is a huge priority for us at Aquarius. It may start with providing worry-free water or heating and cooling systems you can trust, but there's another very important reason. Aquarius is family-owned and operated. We work hard to earn the right to be recommended. That means upfront, no-surprise pricing, providing a 5-star experience, and treating your home and time with respect, and knowing we're just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com.
And as I said, I want to welcome Crazy Fresh to to the Talk North platform. We really appreciate working with them. We also appreciate the fact that we've had their food. We have meetings at the Talk North studios, and we brought in crazy fresh stuff to have our group lunches, and I'm really impressed. It's so fresh. It tastes so good. And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of lazy when it comes to food. I grew up in a fast food country. My parents took us to the fast food drive-ins all the time. I got used to not having to cook for myself, not having to slice the lettuce and cucumbers. I wish I were better about it, but I'm not. Now I don't have to be better at it. I can just go get Crazy Fresh, and it comes packaged. As the name suggests, it is very fresh. It is very local. They're in more than 1,300 local grocery stores. Again, fruits, vegetables, salads, salsa, excellent guacamole. I'm a big guacamole guy. Avocados, which are such an underrated food that you can put in so many things. Quick meals, full meals, healthy snacks. It's fantastic. I love it. Again, everybody at Talk North has had it. We all love it. Fresh ingredients in all products. They make it daily. And it's convenient. And we're all, again, not all of us, but most of us, people like me, you want convenience, you want ease, you want something quick. And let's face it, when you're trying to talk yourself into eating something healthy, it really helps if it's already there, ready to go. So highly recommend Crazy Fresh, and really glad to be working with them. I love working with sponsors, that get us excited about their products. It makes everything really easy. Also want to thank Chew Vision Institute, who's working with John Krawczynski.
Yeah, Jim, I'm a brand new man this week. I've been telling you guys for the last several weeks about Chew Vision Institute in Bloomington, about how they took me through the consultation process for LASIK surgery, and how the lead up to the surgery itself was so great. Everyone was very easy to deal with, very knowledgeable, no pressure kind of situation as they presented all the options for vision correction for me. Well, last week, I finally was able to go in. We got it on the schedule, and I had LASIK surgery. For the first time since fourth grade, I do not have glasses or contacts. I am seeing 100% clearly, both up close and distance. It was an amazing experience to go into it on the day of surgery. You go in, you're a little nervous, right? I mean, this is a situation where you're going to have a laser pointed at your eye. You're going to go through this procedure, but the folks at Chew Vision were so welcoming and so comforting. It really eased a lot of the anxiety that I had. They're so excited for you when you go to Chew Vision to get the LASIK surgery, because they know what a big difference it's going to make in your life. And it has made a huge difference less than a week into this for me already. The biggest factor for me in the experience was Dr. Chew himself has this really calming voice, and he talks you through the entire procedure as it's happening. So any nerves are calmed down. He is very encouraging, very soothing, and it made a nerve-wracking experience for me quite easy. You go in, I was in and out of there in a little over an hour. The actual procedure itself only took a couple of minutes for it to happen. I went home, got some rest that night, and by the morning when I woke up, I was seeing 100% clearly. Went back in for a follow-up. My vision was at 20/20. I'm driving around. I am taking showers. I am waking up in the morning without having to fumble around for glasses, so I can just see my phone in front of me. Everything is different. I wish I would have done this 10 years ago. I wish I would have gone to Chew Vision much earlier. I can't recommend enough how great these people have been to work with through it all. And certainly Dr. Chew with the procedure itself. It is truly life-changing. That is not hyperbolic. I'm so happy with the results at Chew Vision. So go to chewvision.com to set up a consultation. Tell them the John Krawczynski Show sent you, and just get going with the rest of your life. Ditch those glasses, ditch those contacts, ditch all the money you spend every year, every 2 years on those, and just start living your life normally again with great pure vision. And that's what I'm doing right now, and I couldn't be happier.
Glad to hear it worked out. That's awesome. John, I hate repeating myself, and I really hate repeating myself, but you look at the Vikings team, where they are, what their flaws are, what they need to fix, and it's hard not to go back to that 2022 draft. And I'm really wondering at this point whether Lewis Cine is ever going to play a snap as a starter or even a key backup from scrimmage in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's certainly the way that it's looking now. Lewis has had some comments at training camp already, just knowing that he is sort of his back is against the wall coming into this camp. You and I discussed earlier this summer about possibly trading him, about just moving on from him. And anytime you are having those conversations this soon after taking a guy in the first round, it's not a great situation. They have sort of stabilized themselves at safety, I think, with, you have Harrison Smith, you have Cam Bynum, you have some options to go with there. But I mean, if they would have just stayed put and taken Kyle Hamilton, so much of what ails them, it would be fixed right now from a defensive backfield. You'd still have questions at cornerback, which they have a new guy coming in every other day, it seems like, to try and kind of stem the tide of all the injuries and things that they've dealt with there. But when you swing and miss on a player as badly as so far it seems like they've swung and missed on Lewis Cine in the first round, it does set you back. And they are chasing that over and over again right now. And I don't know that there's been any sign early on in camp that Cine is a changed player, that he's going to come in with a real opportunity to either certainly play defensively or even on special teams. I mean, if you can't even get on the field as a special teamer, as a safety, which is a prime special teams position, that says a lot about where you are as a player developmentally. And so that's definitely been a big miss so far for Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, and there's not a real sign yet that there's any light at the end of the tunnel for him.
No. Hey, as I told you, John, I got just back from a European vacation, went to Greece and Italy, absolutely loved it. Talked about it a lot with Don Mitchell on Don's show on the network. But one of the cool things was, as I said, I like sponsors we have some connection to. Pretty much everything I wore on the trip was something I bought at Twill in the Edina Galleria. Great shorts, great golf shirts, casual T-shirts that actually look nice, shoes. I didn't really dress up. I didn't bring some of my dressier stuff because it was so hot over there. So I just kind of dressed like an American, casual golfer, which is perfect for both staying comfortable. It's also the kind of stuff that Twill carries. And what I really noticed was all that travel, all those flights, all that packing and repacking, and the stuff I get at Twill just stays looking nice. It doesn't wrinkle. It doesn't get rumpled. It doesn't make you look rumpled. So once again, I just recommend for whatever you want men's clothing for, you can find it at Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com. Also go to twillmn.com and sign up for their email updates. They will not besiege you. They'll just let you know when they have a cool event at the shop. And man, if you can get in there and get some of that stuff at any kind of a deal or package, I highly recommend it. Twill in the Edina Galleria. Also want to let you know about TSR Injury Law, longtime sponsors and boosters of the John Krawczynski Show on this network. Steve Terry, has always been our guy there. You see him on billboards. You see him hanging out with Naz Reid now. And as he always says, you don't need to do a long ad. Just let people know. If you're ever injured, call 612-TSR-TIME. 612-TSR-TIME. It's that simple. You will thank us later if you do so. It has kind of saved the Vikings secondary that Josh Metellus and Cam Bynum have turned into players. Now, you still would rather have Kyle Hamilton, rather have a superstar at those positions, but they have kind of saved the safety position, that and the fact that Harrison Smith is willing to come back for another year. Cornerback, the fact that they're not 100% sure they can count on Andrew Booth is leading to all kinds of moves trying to bolster the depth there. I'm still waiting for this team or somebody to go out and get Stephon Gilmore or Xavier Howard.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the way that the Vikings have gone about trying to plug holes with, the Mekhi Blackmon injury, with everything that they've been dealing with at cornerback, because there are a couple of name players out there. And even Kevin O'Connell sort of alluded to it a week ago or so now, basically saying that they were looking at some really established players as possibilities to bring in. And maybe that still is the case for Stephon Gilmore. Maybe they will still consider that. Maybe he has to come off of some of his financial ask right now, or something like that. But instead, they've sort of gone a different route. I mean, it's Fabian Moreau. It's guys that Bobby McCain, guys that are certainly, have played in the league, have experience, and some that have had experience with Brian Flores, but also not like really established guys. And so it's just been interesting to see that approach right now. And just, I don't know if that's a message to a guy like Stephon Gilmore and saying, look, man, we're not going to pay you what you want. We'll keep taking other bites at the apple with other guys who are out there available. But they're going so far with unproven guys. And I think that's a little dangerous, certainly in a division with Jared Goff playing as well as he has, with Jordan Love, with Caleb Williams coming in to a Chicago Bears offense that all of a sudden has a lot of firepower at receiver. And so they're going to need help for sure there. And I still don't think that these moves that they've made give you really any kind of solace that, yep, the problem's fixed. They're going to be okay. The Mekhi Blackmon injury, I think, is really devastating because he's the one guy where I thought maybe he really develops into a very, very good player at that position. And to lose him is really difficult. And then you just kind of are backfilling that spot with journeymen. I just don't know that there's an answer there just yet.
No. I want to talk about quarterbacks, but you know what? We're going to be talking so much about quarterbacks. I'd like to have a little more meat to talk about other than just going through drills early in camp. So I think I'll table that for next week. But of course, we'll be talking about quarterbacks pretty much every week the rest of the way, and especially as we get toward preseason games. I have found it interesting, John, that it's not hard to find Vikings fans who've been at practices going absolutely bonkers over McCarthy. And you know, and I'm not saying it's not legitimate. He's often practicing with second team offense or third team offense against the number one defense, and he looks good. That's a great sign. But I also think we as people who've been covering the sport for a long time, we do need to slow people's roll a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I saw some sort of Twitter chatter a couple of days ago, and it does seem like as the years have gone on, and maybe this is maybe I'm just noticing this more this year because the Vikings have a young quarterback that everyone is excited about. But it seems like we, as a collective, observing either fans or media, kind of observing practices and training camps and things like that, put way too much stake in one play, good or bad. JJ McCarthy hits Jordan Addison for a touchdown. Oh my gosh, he's going to start week one. Or JJ McCarthy is intercepted by someone in 7-on-7 drills. Well, he's not even close to ready. And, Sam Darnold's going to be the guy for sure. So you see these kind of highlights that are posted on Twitter or these lowlights videos from camp. And there's just a hyperventilation that happens with this. And maybe that kind of just goes with the territory of quarterback and everyone just being so amped up about it. But as you said, and as you hinted, so far, JJ McCarthy has not played at all really with the number one offense. Kevin O'Connell has said he's going to do that at some point, but it has not happened yet. And so I think that this is all set up, and Kevin O'Connell has told us from the start that this is going to be a gradual process, and you're going to have to evaluate the entire body of work and going back to the summer program, and then what happens in training camp, what happens in preseason, what's happening in the film room, and all those things. And so just maybe take it easy, enjoy it, watch it, be excited about it. Of course, he's a first round draft pick quarterback that is really going to be the quarterback of the future, for better or worse, for this team. So have fun with it, but I would just not put too much stock in any one play, good or bad, that we see, even though that seems to be happening at a higher rate these days than ever before.
Yeah, because I saw one play that people were going nuts over, and yes, it's against number one defense, but McCarthy had like 10 seconds to throw.
Yeah.
He stepped up twice, and he threw to a wide open receiver, and he completed it, but it wasn't one of those plays. I mean, I'd actually be more impressed by him getting hit in the face and throwing incomplete, but throwing to the right receiver. The results in practice don't really matter. Now, you can see some things that can be good indicators, but the results really don't matter.
Yeah, and I will say this, and I'll continue to say this. From my rudimentary position here, like I'm a JJ McCarthy fan. I loved watching him in college. I loved the way that he ran that offense. I loved the leadership that he showed in the winning that he helped produce there. I think that he is going to be a good player in this league. And of all the quarterbacks that were in this class, he was one of my favorites. Like, I really do think that he can be great. But I do think also that it is going to take time. And as you said, like, these 7-on-7 drills where you're not worried about getting hit, where you can hold the ball for a lot longer, they are skewed toward the offense. Good for him. I like the zip that he has on his passes. He seems to really be decisive in what he's doing and making quick decisions and going for it and letting it rip. Awesome. Good stuff. But I would just say, calm down. I had a friend kind of text me the other day, and McCarthy's starting week 1, right? Here we go. And it's just like, slow down. Maybe that will happen. It is possible, but we got a long way to go before we get to that point.
Well said. We'll continue on that theme, but we'll also happily react if we're wrong and McCarthy lights up the team and takes over the starting job. Listen, that'd be the most fun for everybody, but we'll keep it real here, though. Thanks for listening to the Viking Update Show. Check out John on the John Krawczynski Show. Any show you like at TalkNorth.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. Easiest way to listen, also free. We do appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.